Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another enlightening episode of Mindset Matters. I'm your host, Mayuresh Srivastava. This is a place where we decode the unforeseen forces, the kind of forces which helps us create the life which we really want. And in today's topic, we are going to talk about something which often holds a bad reputation. Like, you know, it's something we, in our day to day conversation, we talk about that's something which is not good for us. But that's not the case. Today, we are going to talk about ego. And in our day to day life, we hear like that person has such a big ego. Leave your ego aside. He's so egoistic. And when we hear things in this context, we start thinking ego is not good. Ego is something bad. It could be a derailer in our personal growth story. But let me tell you, that is not the case at all. In today's episode, we are gonna unfold each and every layer of ego and how you can use it for your own personal growth and transformation. Right? So, just continue with me and we'll try to understand what is this force and how it shapes the life which we truly want. So, for that, let's first understand what ego does. I invite you all to imagine ego like a personal bodyguard. We don't have a personal bodyguard, like most of us don't have it, but let's try to imagine it. And I invite you to imagine that your ego works like a personal bodyguard. Its job is to protect you, not your physical body, but something which even matters you the most, your sense of self, your identity. And whenever it feels like something is attacking you, it comes and takes the guard and you become defensive. At times this bodyguard becomes over possessive, and that is when it starts pushing away things which is even important for our personal growth, like feedback, criticism, and even small disagreements. And that's when this ego stops being helpful and starts being harmful. But again, this doesn't make ego evil. There's a lot of other things which it does. Like without ego, you won't be able to say, I matter. You won't be able to pursue your goals. And it's something which is really very important to you, right? So before we get into it, let's first try to understand ego from the scientific and psychological perspective. See, this ego was popularized by Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud was the father of psychoanalysis, and he divided the human psyche into three different parts: id, superego, and ego. Id is something which is your primal compulsive desire. It runs in your subconscious mind, which you won't be able to understand. So it basically, stays in your subconscious. Superego is basically your moral voice. It is shaped by society and community around you. And it basically stays between conscious and subconscious mind, that is pre-conscious level of the mind. Now comes the hero of today's episode, our ego, right? It is basically the mediator between id and superego. So what it does, it tries to balance out your inner instinct and what society really want you to do, right? So it balances out that. So as per Sigmund Freud, ego is nothing but a mediator, a negotiator, which allows you to perform in the society by balancing what you really want and what society can accept. So it's not pride or arrogance, it's a part of you. So like like our hand does something, right? So it's just a tool for you and it's up to you how you're going to use it. Now let's understand ego from the neuroscience perspective, because these days neuroplasticity and neuroscience has grown up a lot, and there are a lot of new significance which have happened in recent past. So let's understand it from the modern neuroscience perspective. So as per modern neuroscience, ego is understood as the part of your consciousness that constructs your sense of self, that is your identity. Your ego is not a separate thing in your brain. It's not a separate organ which is lying in your brain. No, it's a pattern which is created by your experience, your belief, and your nervous system's need to protect you from shame and rejection. So, and your brain is wired to protect these patterns, right? If you have been listening to me of late, you might be aware of that our brain is designed to make us survive and not thrive. So it does everything possible to protect these patterns which have been formed in our recent past. And that's why ego resists change. It's just not being difficult, it's just trying to protect you. It's trying to protect your identity, right? Like, have you ever wondered why at times we resist change? It's majorly because of our ego. Let me explain it now. See, you try to build a new habit to become a better version of yourself, but unconsciously you keep hearing, that's not who I am. I am not like this, or I cannot become like that. So all these inner talks starts happening. It's nothing but your ego trying to hold to your present identity, the current identity of yourself. And when you build a better habit, you grow. And when you grow, you enter into a new identity. But what we have understood so far, ego's job is to protect your identity. And when the ego sees that you are breaking this current identity and jumping and moving to the new identity, your ego trying to hold to your present identity by having these fears, doubts, and procrastination. Fear in terms of what if I fail? Doubt, I'm not ready as of now. And it procrastinate in the form of let's start it next week. This is not a right time. So it does everything to avoid you to enter into a new identity. And let me explain it to you. There are two sides of the ego. And as I said, ego is a part of you. So it's better you accept it. So there are two parts of it, healthy ego and unhealthy ego. And let me just tell you the truth. Ego is not born unhealthy. It becomes that way based on our experiences, beliefs, and emotional conditioning. As the name suggests, the healthy ego helps you becoming the better version of yourself. It accepts feedbacks so you can become and grow in your journey. But on the other hand, unhealthy ego keeps you stuck by being overprotective. It craves external validation and it hates being wrong and blocks feedback out of fear of being wrong, right? So that is what the job of healthy ego and unhealthy ego. But ego is the same. Why there are two different, kind of reactions? Healthy ego protect you and kind of helps you in developing yourself, but unhealthy ego keeps you stuck. Why does it happen? So there are three different aspects of it. Let's understand what shapes the healthy or unhealthy ego. Number one is the childhood conditioning. If you're constantly praised only for success, your ego learns, I'm valuable, I matter. But just on the other hand, if you have been constantly criticized or compared, your ego learns, I need to protect myself. Probably I need to defend myself more. So that is what it learns. And these early childhood scripts becomes a pattern in your mind. It runs in your unconscious mind. So as you move in your journey, as you become adult, when someone gives a feedback, if you have developed a healthy ego, your ego says that this is growth, I need to accept it. But on the other hand, your unhealthy ego says that I need to defend myself now, right? It's an attack on my identity. And the second factor which shapes the ego is your core beliefs. Belief plays a very important role. And if you have an empowering belief system, it develops the healthy ego. But if you have the limiting belief, it builds your unhealthy ego. And if you want to understand more about the beliefs, I would strongly recommend you go back and listen to my third episode, where I dissected each and every aspect of empowering belief system and limiting belief system. So it's very important for you to understand the basic building blocks of what it creates. And number three is your level of self-awareness. An unhealthy ego operates on autopilot. It just reacts because you are not aware about your own triggers. But on the other hand, healthy ego, it's aware. It reflects and then respond. It doesn't react. It just respond after reflecting. That's why building self-awareness is the key to personal growth and transformation. See, it also helps in building the healthy ego as well. So self-awareness is at the core of personal growth and transformation. Because once you are aware about your own pattern, then only you can shift your perspective. Then you can take measures which are important for you to grow in your journey. So, in short, the formula of unhealthy ego is fear, insecurity, past wounds, and your low level of self awareness. And formula for the healthy ego is your self worth, secured identity, your growth belief, and your higher level of awareness. So, your job is just to train your ego. Just train the healthier ego, not the unhealthy ego. Because the unhealthy ego will keep you stuck, will keep you at the same level. But in our life, we definitely want to grow, right? We don't want to stay at that level. So, it's your job to develop and train the healthy ego. So, how do we tame the unhealthy ego and nurture the healthier version? Let me give a few mindset shifts which you all can start practicing right away. Number one, practice reflection over reaction. See, when you are triggered, pause, ask yourself, is this my ego reacting or my values responding? This won't come immediately, let me tell you. It will take lot of effort from your side to understand first your own triggers. And that is where the self-awareness comes into the picture. Because see, when we get triggered and when we respond or react, there's a milliseconds of gap. If you have a high level of self-awareness, then only you can arrest yourself. Then only you can stop yourself and then reflect on the trigger and then respond. Right? So start practicing reflection over reaction. And number two is seek growth over being right. Because being right feeds our ego. And if you are actually very concerned or very much oriented towards your own growth, because the real growth happens when when you stop being right and start accepting yourself. See, you can definitely win if you are pursuing something, right? So there is a lot of effort which is required, but if your only objective is to win, that is where ego, the unhealthy ego, comes into the picture. So start focusing more on the process, on your own growth. Definitely win and lose with the byproduct of it, right? And number three, start valuing feedback even when it stings. If you have listened to my previous episode, one of my previous episode on feedback, I have mentioned like, you know, like a fertilizer. Initially, it may sting, it may not, smell good, but it is required for the nurture and the growth of the plant. And that is what the feedback also does. So start valuing the feedback, right? Don't get attached to whether the feedback is in your favor or it stings a lot. But if you see it as a raw data and just accept it, probably you'll start accepting yourself more and you'll be on a journey of personal growth and transformation. And number four, anchor your identity to values, not titles. Anchor who you are in your values. See, titles may be there today or tomorrow, but your values, your character will always be there with you. So start accepting yourself from the values point of view, not from the titles point of view. Because titles may fall tomorrow, but values stand tall, right? When your worth comes from your character, not your achievements, failure stops being like a personal attack, right? You start accepting failures as well because you know who you are from inside. You value yourself more than some external achievements. As we are now towards the end of today's episode, I want you to leave with one powerful message and one simple tool. Just remember this message. Your ego isn't your enemy. It's a part of you. It's just your untrained protector. You need to train it, right? The moment you stop fighting it and start understanding it, you don't lose power. You reclaim it. And that is what the healthy ego does. And now, I want to share one tool which will help you to develop your reflection muscle. That is the ego check-in. So every night, take 2 minutes to journal it down and ask yourself, where did I let my unhealthy ego takes the lead today? And when you ask what was the situation and the trigger, you are doing. You are making yourself more self-aware. You are making yourself aware about that trigger and the response. So that in future, just in case if you come across a similar situation, you may able to respond it in a better way. And nothing is going to happen overnight. You need to train and practice it over a period of time. Then only you start seeing the real result. And number three, ask yourself, what can I do differently if I face a similar situation? This daily ego audit creates self awareness, and awareness is the beginning of real transformation. So, the next time someone says, don't be so egoistic, or leave your ego aside, don't just get offended, just smile, because you are now being aware about it, and you are now doing the inner work which most people avoid. By being aware about your own ego, you're not killing it, you're not suppressing it, you're now training it, right? You're now building it to become more healthier instead of being unhealthy. Let your ego be your ally, not your enemy. That's it for today's episode. Thanks for tuning into Mindset Matters, where transformation begins from inside out. If you found value in this, share it with someone who needs it. Share it on your Instagram stories and WhatsApp status. That would help in growing this podcast and reach to someone who might need this reminder today, who might need to develop the healthier ego. Until next time, stay open, stay grounded, and remember, your ego doesn't need to be killed. It just needs to evolve. It just needs to become more healthier. And as always, keep listening and keep working on yourself because your mindset truly matters. Thank you.